Hi, I'm Jean Schumacher, founder of Simply Plant-Based, where I have a lot of programs to help you to change your health destiny, including the Pregnancy Advantage, where Dr. Deborah Shapiro, who's an OBGYN, she and I help women to get their bodies pregnant ready or to help heal if you're dealing with infertility issues, especially before you go down that in vitro fertilization rabbit hole. And I also have the Plant-Based Academy, where I help provide support, guidance, and resources to help switch to a plant-based lifestyle. And tonight I have the privilege to connect with Dr. Scott Stoll, someone who I've admired for many years in the plant-based world for helping spread the message of how you can change your health destiny. His most recent success has been the co-author of the book Disease Reversal Hope, which has now been made into a movie. So Dr. Stoll, thank you so much for taking the time to be with me here tonight.
Oh, thank you, Jean. I am delighted to be here. And I just appreciate all of the work you're doing. And I believe the work that you're doing, providing a community and support and love and guidance is perhaps the most important. You know, all of the education is amazing, but the interface of taking the knowledge and actually living it out in a culture that doesn't support change is really difficult. And that's where you come in as the critical piece, the critical support that's necessary to help people. So I just want to honor you at the outset for all the work that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, okay, the $1 million question. What made you go plant-based? Share your story.
Yeah, it's, I grew up in a family that was, healthy. We grew a garden, we ate vegetables, we tried to find sugar alternatives. My dad tried, carob instead of chocolate, but we still lived kind of the unhealthy lifestyle at McDonald's from time to time and ate meat 2 or 3 times a day and still ate way too much sugar and dairy. And so I thought I kind of understood nutrition, being nutritional science, biochem, and pre-med, an undergraduate, going to the Olympics as an athlete. Medical school, you think you have a pretty decent handle on what your body needs, but I was so far off base, I had no idea. And I always have to credit my wife because she came to me in our second year of med school, my second year, and she said, I really think we need to change our diet and go plant-based or vegetarian. I said, well, I don't, where am I going to get my protein, Jean? That was the question I asked, and now I'm doomed to have to answer that question the rest of my life.
Right?
So it took me a few years to actually get caught up to my wife. Through my early part of my practice, 2003, 2004, that I started to notice my patients all telling me they were falling apart, and I saw that they all had the same diseases. They weren't getting better. They were just adding to their past medical history list year by year, as well as their medication list. And then one day, a woman asked me for help because she was struggling with so many health conditions. She said, I'm falling apart. Can you help me? And I just said, what does falling apart actually mean to you? And I assumed it was something on her past medical history list or pain or some medical condition. But she said, my marriage is falling apart because my husband is tired of taking care of me. I can't travel to see my grandchildren. I can't attend church. I don't have any friends. I'm depressed, facing financial bankruptcy due to the cost of healthcare. And with tears running down her cheeks, she looked me in the eyes and said, can you help me? And in that moment, I realized I was not trained, I was not capable of helping somebody actually put their life back together again. And so when I left the room, I just asked myself a question. I said, Scott, what are you going to do to help the next person that's falling apart? And it sent me on a personal learning journey, and I read all the diet books and was more confused than when I started. And I eventually went back to the literature, discovered more plants, healthier body. I was blessed to find Dr. Joel Fuhrman not far from me and spend a few weeks with him. And I discovered how powerful the plate is and started using my prescription pad to write breakfast, lunch, and dinner for my patients and saw things I never imagined possible.
Wow. What a journey. It's amazing that your wife got that message before you did. I mean, especially as an athlete, that's got to be a constant source for you to be able to fuel your body and do it right. Kudos to your wife.
Yes, indeed. I was listening to the bro science in fitness, which is wrong. She was getting the right science, and I've learned after 27 years to listen to her the first time now.
Smart move. Smart move. Okay. Well, how did it affect your life, as a doctor, as a father, as a friend?
Yeah, sometimes in life you make decisions that have far-reaching impacts that you never anticipated, and this was one of those decisions. We changed as a family first and figured it out at home. We have 6 children now. Back then we had 3. And we learned how to cook. We got rid of all the dairy, the meat, the organic meat we were buying, got rid of sugar. And my wife went to work in the kitchen and made healthy, fun, delicious meals. Then we whipped up a little cookbook for my patients, and I started doing that in my practice, using my prescription pad, handing out recipes. Saw incredible transformations there, which led me into eventually being invited to be a part of the scientific advisory board at Whole Foods, doing health immersions, which we still do today for their most unhealthy team members. Then starting the Plantrician Project and all of the things that have flowed out of that, the books and the documentaries and the work overseas and conferences. And so that one single decision, that one patient has actually just completely changed not only my life, but my family's life forever.
Oh, it's so true. I mean, my journey started with a trip to the emergency room and, like so many other people. And the woman who attended me was not only a medical doctor, but she was a nutritionist, which is so rare. And she started me on Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease by Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, and that was it. I read it one night. We're done. That's it. So,
the truth sets you free, doesn't it? You discover the truth and it really sets you free, and you don't realize how many areas of your life you were actually bound, where you were being held back.
it's true. I mean, we did it like pretty much overnight. Like, how about you? Was it gradual, or did you say like today's the day?
No, just like you, we discovered the truth and we said, that's it. We cleaned out our pantries and our refrigerator. We moved a bunch of produce and we figured it out. And it's challenging to do that, but for people that can do that, that's really the best way.
It's
Jumping in with both feet is the best way.
It's true. And I've heard someone say to me, it's like medication in some ways that you have to, like if you're given an antibiotic, let's say it's 100 milligrams, but you're only taking 20 milligrams of it. Do you think it's going to be effective? And that's kind of like how plant-based is like when you jump in full force, that's like you're taking the full dose of medication. And it's not like you can like dip your toe in. Some people do, and okay, but you're not going to see the full effect unless you clean out the kitchen and go.
That's funny.
Yeah. So what changes have you seen in your life?
Personally, I'm 54 years old now, and I have more energy than I did when I was 30. Even at 30, I felt like, weekends I needed naps. I was tired in the evening. I had some achy joints, and I just thought it was because I was busy physician and busy father. But I'm busier now than I've ever been, and I can run, jump, keep up with just about anyone. And so physically, mentally, my mood is always great. I always have joy. I think that this process of like just going down the rabbit hole of the food on your plate really makes you more grateful, more appreciative, more connected to the entire food supply chain, the farmers and the soil and the sunshine, the animals. There's a level of awareness and gratitude that enters into your life that I did not have before. My children are vibrantly healthy. They never have to see the doctor except me for breakfast in the morning. Never had ear infections, strep throat. My wife and I at 54 have zero medical problems, abundant energy and vitality. It's spilling over into my grandchildren's life. It changed my career, gave me the privilege of educating other physicians and healthcare providers and seeing their careers change and hearing the stories of their patients. And, it's just brought so much abundance into my life that I never expected. It's brought opportunities and just a level of gratitude just for this gift of being able to steward this information about plant-based nutrition, this message around the world, and to meet lovely people like yourself. The community is incredible. It is a beautiful community of people.
I have to agree. Because plant-based people just seem to really care, and they care about themselves. They care about the planet. They care. It's been a joy connecting with people that are plant-based. Well, I'll be the first to go, hi, I'm Jean Schumacher. I'm a food addict. And I'll be the first to say that. I admit it 100%. How did you handle, did you have cravings? Because I know I did.
Yeah, I think all of us do. All of us eat emotionally. All of us have cravings. We have things that we like. When you look at the Yale food addiction scale, it's about 15% of people are really susceptible to food addiction, where it becomes intrusive in their thoughts. The rest of us are somewhere on that bell curve where we still have, tendencies, and when we're tired and emotional, we go for these foods. Absolutely, there's definitely struggles. We just found substitutes. Instead of chocolate, we make chocolate pudding with avocados, cocoa, and dates. And we'll make delicious smoothies and banana ice cream and all kinds of other things that we just substituted into our lives that served as like perfect substitutes. And we really felt like we weren't missing anything. It's been beautiful. Early on, when we started going to someone's house and having some of those food, you get such a wicked headache and you feel so lousy, you don't want to go back. And it was just a reminder of what it was actually doing to our bodies. And so I think that contrast is probably the best teacher. It's better than 12 hours of my lectures. You have that experience and you never want to go back again.
It's true. Oh my gosh, I got to share one quick story with you. I'm a chemistry teacher, and I was tutoring after school for this kid who had a test, and it's like, yeah, dude, you're not going to pass. I'm just telling you straight up. It was, and it was like a 3-hour session after school, and I was like starving, and I was in a part of town I didn't know, and I just needed something to get me home. And I saw a bagel place, and I said, okay, I'm just going to go get a toasted multigrain bagel.
Sure.
As God is my witness, that was what I was going to get. And I walked in, he's like, hey, we have a new, and I used to be a cream cheeseaholic. We have a new cream cheese, and it's got walnuts and cinnamon and raisins. And I'm like, yes, because that's what I eat now. And it's like, and I couldn't even stop myself. And he slathered it on so thick. Oh my gosh. And I ate it like I'd been just released from jail, like, oh. And I didn't even get 10 minutes down the road. Oh my God, I had to pull off the road. I couldn't even make it home. I was like laying flat on the front seat, like considering, and I hate hospitals. I mean, they're great if you need them, like you're in a car accident, but yeah, as a rule, I don't like them. And I'm like considering going back and having my stomach pumped. I mean, and finally I sat back up and I got home like 6 hours later. Finally it passed, but in the meantime, I literally crawled up the stairs and I'm laying on the bed in a fetal position, mooing. And my husband was like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, I eat cream cheese. That was so powerful. Like, have I had cream cheese since then? Yeah, no, not even the plant-based cream cheese. Like, I look at it and go, no. So yeah, no, it's real. It's real because you're changing your gut biome.
That's right.
And it's so powerful. When you do that. Oh my gosh. So you co-authored the book Disease Reversal Hope. What made you want to write this book?
For years, I have realized that stories are more powerful motivators than science. I began to understand this in my practice. Early on, I wanted to give people all the science because I was so excited about it. This is what's happening with your microbiome, your angiogenesis, your inflammatory system. And eventually their eyes glaze over and they can't take in anymore. And the acronyms and names are like just too much. But if I could tell a story to them of someone like them that made a change and experienced abundance in their life and relief of pain or disease, then the little bit of science I might give them, plus the story, was more than enough for them to go out and at least give it a try. And so I have realized that all throughout history, stories are powerful. Narratives do something to our brain that science does not. It turns on the mechanisms in our brain that actually begin to develop hope and planning toward a different future. I realized this, and as I was talking with my friend Dan Purgis, who had a similar vision for capturing some of these stories in a book, we went out and put together this book that's really intended to just be a source of inspiration. It's not a scientific book. It's not defending the science of plant-based nutrition or digging deeper into the evidence. It's simply meant to be a North Star for people. You can pick up a book and read 36 stories of people with a variety of diseases, a wide variety, who discovered that their diet was more powerful than they ever realized. And they discovered that by changing the food on their plate, they could transform their lives, not just reverse a disease or discontinue medications or even feel a little bit better. But the stories show transformed lives, like black and white. People that lived this way and today they're a totally different person interacting with others in the world in ways that are meaningful and hope filled, and generosity is flowing from their lives and they become sources of change. And so these stories are just, I really, and that's why the movie is so great too, Disease Reversal Hope, the film, because this movie gives you the opportunity to see them. You read the story and then you get to see these people on film, see their families, hear their stories. That to me is priceless.
Oh, I have to agree 100%. To see those, I mean, like you did another movie, Eating You Alive, and so powerful, when that kind of laid the foundation, but this is like to hear the stories is just, it makes a difference. It really does, to hear them, to see their reactions, to see their faces, and to see how they're responding to the change. So it's so powerful. So well done to
You
you.
and I do what we do, right? Because you see that there's these people go from hopelessness, despair, and difficulty in their life to abundance and hope and joy and vitality and vibrancy that they didn't have before. And that's worth living for. That's
Oh,
worth living for.
100%. So true. 100%. Oh gosh. Well, to your patients, what lifestyle changes do you recommend?
Yeah, this is the challenge, right? Because there's so many things that you would love to recommend for them. It's, hey, you need to sleep. You need to work on mindfulness and stress mitigation. I don't like stress management because we're not trying to manage it. We're trying to get rid of it. You need to exercise. These are the exercises you need to do. You need to work on strength training. But at the end of the day, as you and I know, the one lifestyle change that can change everything is changing what's on your plate. Piling your plate full of plants, whole plant foods, even if you don't exercise, even if you don't get a handle on stress right away, even if you're not sleeping very well, the change on your plate can transform your health and then spill over into those other areas. So, knowing how busy people are today, just spread so thin, challenged in every way, schedules maxed out, facing the tyranny of the urgent every day, I always just start with their diet and say, let's just fix the food on your plate. We'll get to all the other stuff later. If you want to go for a walk, go for a walk, but let's fix the food first. And if we do that, I promise you in a week, you'll be feeling better. And in 2 weeks, you'll have more energy. You'll be maybe interested in going for walks, but let's work on the food first.
It's so powerful. What's at the end of your fork? Oh my gosh, it is. You are 100%. And the other pieces come within, that because you're on a journey. You're on this journey. So, so powerful. Well, walk us through what's a day of food like for you?
Our lives are busy. We have 6 children, we have 3 grandchildren. I'm busy working. And so for me, food has really come down to just simple, repeatable, reproducible. So usually in the morning, my day is a really good dark green smoothie. Usually have a cup of tea with ginger, turmeric, and cinnamon. I just put powder in there and mix it up. I put some ginger in my smoothie too. And then I'll have either a bowl of oatmeal or homemade granola with some hemp seeds and pumpkin seeds. And that's my breakfast. I don't eat a big lunch. I'll usually just have kind of a salad, maybe some beans or tofu, greens and beans or greens and tofu, and veggies, and maybe some kimchi or fermented vegetable on my salad. And then dinner is simple for us. It's a steamed vegetable or cooked vegetable. Half of our plate is some kind of leafy green salad. And then the other 25% is a cooked dish. And that's where we do casseroles, stews, and we just keep it simple. And we're always trying to add nutrient density into our diet. So we're always looking to add in mushrooms, onions, garlic, herbs, spices, sprouts, dark leafy greens, all of the things that contain more nutrients. We're just trying to always layer those into every single meal and add more. And I'm kind of strange. Like night, the other night I thought about having a snack, so I just grabbed a container of broccoli sprouts and ate some broccoli sprouts, and that was my snack and a carrot. So I just keep it simple, and I'm always thinking about how can I nourish my body the most effective way and make it delicious at the same time.
Well, and that's the key right there, is making it delicious. Because if it's not going to be like the standard question in my house is, as I'm, working out recipes, is this a make again? Because there's like some recipes, there's some recipes like you're like, the dog didn't even eat that one. I mean, like, wow, and I put a big X through that one. Yeah, no. And I think that's just as important to know what, really you like, because that's what it is at the end of the day. We're looking for those 10, 12 recipes, because it used to be meatloaf Monday, taco Tuesday. And, we got into this routine. And well, what's a favorite dish?
Probably one of my favorite dishes is curry. I love a good homemade curry. That is a really, really good one. I'm always up for some kind of Mexican dish. Love Mexican. Greens and beans, always working that in. Those are probably my always my go-tos. Good curry, good Mexican dish, and then I love a good smoothie, really good dark green smoothie. If I can't get anything anywhere else, I'll find a really good dark green smoothie. If I go to a smoothie place, I always tell them like double or triple the amount of greens that you put in there. Just give me more. And then something else too that I've really learned is valuable for me as well, traveling, is that I just always remind myself I don't have to eat. If I can't find a good option, it's actually better not to eat than to eat something and not feel good. I just, I ask people at our immersions, how long can you go without food? Most people don't realize you can live for 40 days without food. So missing a meal, missing a lunch during the day is, it's very doable, and sometimes that's the better choice.
I have to agree. Oh, Mexican, that's a big one, big hit in our house. And I created a dish called Mexican lasagna, which my husband loves this dish because we batch cook on the weekends. And I'm like, so honey, what do you want for next week? And he's like, Mexican lasagna. And I'm like, we're on week 17. I can make other things, But he's like, no, I found out I like that. It's good. Let's keep it up. And I'm like, okay, right.
And isn't that true of most people?
Yes.
We really do get down to like 10, 12 recipes that we like, that we know how to cook and shop for, and that becomes the core. And that's really okay. I mean, sometimes that is much better than trying to cook fancy recipes, and some of those work out and some don't, and it's easy to get frustrated trying to cook fancy food. But just going back to the basics where it's sustainable is really a simple place to find joy and health.
It's so true. It's so true. You've had this incredible career, and you've got so many things to pick from, but what are you most proud of?
At the end of the day, I think what I'm most proud of is the end result of hearing people's lives changed. And even things that I've not done directly, but I've just been a part of, where I just happen to be a part of supporting something. And as an example, a story just comes to my mind that, I was asked to do a CME event and a church event at Midland, Texas in 2014 after our first conference. And so that evolved into a relationship in the hospital where I went back to present every year, and we started a conference. And there was this annual conference that has been continuing since 2015. One year there was a gentleman that came, and I actually never met him. And so he was in his early 30s, multiple sclerosis, rapidly progressing, on disability, using a walker, with a diaper because he was incontinent of bowel and bladder, not able to play with his children, in his early 30s, without any hope. And so he came to this conference that, I worked with a group to put together. He listened to the information. He gathered up some hope in his life, and he went home and made changes. 3 months later, he's continent of bowel and bladder, got rid of his diapers. 6 months later, off of his walker, working and playing with his children in the backyard. And so, conferences, books, all that stuff is, that we've done all over the world is great. But when I hear those stories, that's the thing that I'm most proud about, is that because of the work that I've been a part of and the people that I've worked with to do these projects, we've impacted people's lives in a profound way that never had hope or options or understood that they could have a better life. And because they encountered something that we did together, their lives were changed forever. And even if I don't meet them, I'm proud of that work.
So true. When I see people, and my husband's an example. My husband had multiple sclerosis, was diagnosed with it, but since we've gone plant-based, he has no symptoms and he's not on any medication. So, and I attribute that 100% to our whole food plant-based lifestyle. So, he's never sick. Rarely are we ever sick. And if we are, it's like for, like a day or something like that. And because we have an immune system and it works. So what are the 3 things that someone can do to help start this journey?
The most important thing, I believe, is just a mindset shift. So much of this journey begins in what we think and believe about ourselves. And, I believe that, the real journey is kind of an identity shift from, the way that we think about ourselves in the past to what we might think about ourselves in the future. And just simply saying, I'm a very healthy person, that little bit of identity really inspires significant change. And then also, with that mindset shift, just believing that there is hope. Hope is so powerful. Hope is transformational. Hope is an absolute necessary ingredient for change. And if people can gather up some hope and believe that it's possible for them, then anything is possible. So I believe that, that identity shift and then incorporating some hope into your life and believing that it's possible is the most important step. Then we can get into the motivations, the why are you doing this, developing some long-term motivations. I encourage people to begin envisioning their future self, who you want to become and how health plays into that exciting future self. And as you begin seeing yourself in the future, you'll be pulled into that change much more effectively than if you're just trying to push yourself into change. Then all of the other, do's of like changing your environment and all these other things follow. But the mindset, the identity shift, and then the third thing I would say is joining a community. Those 3 things, get your mindset right, infuse some hope, and then join a community, you'll be successful. But if you don't have those 3 things, all of the work of changing your kitchen and your environment and new recipes it can lead to change, but it's much more difficult. So those are the 3 most important elements, I believe.
No, the support is mission critical because you're going to be out there by yourself and facing family, friends who are like questioning you, like, what are you doing? That you're this crazy person. And and I know, like, within my own family, I'm the only one who's gone plant-based, even though they've seen my change, they've seen my journey and seen all the health changes that I've had, but still no. So
Right.
it is tough. It is tough, especially if you're in a household where you're doing it and your spouse is not. That is a tough one to do and to deal with. So yeah, for sure. Getting that support is mission critical. Mm-hmm. You and I get it. All the people I talk to, for the most part, get this, plant-based, wow, change your health destiny. But how can we reach the people outside of the plant-based community?
Yeah, I first always encourage people that what we need to do is lead with love. Love builds relationships. Love builds trust. When we have relationships and trust, people are going to be receptive. There's been so much dietary misinformation, so many dietary conflicts and antagonistic relationships in social media that, debating diet is really not an effective way to bring about change. I encourage our people when they leave the immersions or when they've made a lifestyle change, first make the change yourself. Don't say anything. Let your life be an example in and of itself, that your life and the way that you look and act and move is so vibrantly alive that people can't help but ask, what are you doing? What's different? Then you lead with love, and you give people just enough salt to make them thirsty. You don't dump the truck back and give them the entire cliff notes of T. Colin Campbell's book. We just give them a little bit to make them thirsty, to bring them back asking more questions and wanting to know more. And I really believe that, the change has to be driven at a grassroots level by all of these people that are making changes. That's why we're telling stories like Disease Reversal Hope and the book and the film, because as people start to see lives changed and they're curious and they ask and receive information in the right way, we'll begin infusing that into the grassroots movement. Our culture has shifted so much, as you know, in the last 100 years, and it's the cultural philosophy and then the cultural environment really drive unhealthy changes. And the only way to change culture is from the grassroots up. We can't change it from the top down. And so it's just more and more of us interacting with people around us and sharing a hope-filled message, sharing a story of somebody whose life was changed, giving them a little bit of hope, connecting them in community, to bring these people along and help them make changes. And then at broader levels, there are places where we're developing, resources for physicians. One physician reaches 20,000 individuals in their career. And so our newest initiative, Plantrician University, where we are taking everything we've ever done at the Plantrician Project to educate healthcare professionals, packaging that on a learning management system in dedicated courses and giving it away for free to every healthcare professional student in the world. Our goal is to, in the next 3 to 4 years, reach 100,000 healthcare professional students, which equates to about 2 billion people that can be reached through healthcare providers. So I believe that's a very efficient way to actively assist people in making changes, but there's a lot of infrastructure we have to build out. So it's kind of a complex answer, but top, physicians, and then grassroots culture through community and transform lives.
Well, we're not doing it at the same level because, wow, that's so many people you're reaching. I mean, Deborah and I, with the pregnancy advantage, we both have seen changes, her and her clients and me in the classroom. And we both feel that if we're going to change the next generation, we have to get to the women before they get pregnant and teach them and train them how to change. And so that they are effectively going to be nourishing their children. So.
And as you know, that change is transgenerational. Because of epigenetics, you're helping the mom and you're helping the baby and you're helping the grandchildren and maybe even the great-grandchildren as they're making changes. So one person equates to 4 generations of lives that are changed in many ways.
Yes, it's so true. Dr. Stoll, thank you so much for taking the time to be with me here tonight.
It has been a delight and an honor, Jean, and I just really, again, I honor you for what you're doing. This community that you've created is so powerful, and I just speak a blessing over it that would multiply and reach many more lives in the next year.
Thank you.